guys, it's Karen, and I'm 23, and I've always been in sports. My parents got me in sports when I was like 4 in soccer. I feel like soccer is like the first sport everybody does. And I hated it. I was not aggressive, didn't like it, whatever. So as I got older, I got to pick my sports, and I started getting into volleyball around 8, and I played volleyball all through high school. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And I think the thing I loved about it the most was being yelled at, like during conditioning. That was, I strive to do my best, and having somebody constantly in my face, like, hey, this is what you need to be doing, you need to go faster, whatever. And then that next day of like, can't move because you're so sore. Oh God, that was so rewarding to me. And I know all my friends called me crazy and stuff, but I absolutely loved it. So I think that's where some of my drive comes from for today, is why I love doing the sports that I do. Well, I don't really do sports anymore, but why I love bodybuilding, and at the boot camp I do at World Gym, and our trainer just yelling at us. Like, I love that. So anyways, backtrack a little bit here. I was a freshman, so I was 14. I got a really bad stomach bug. Like, I don't even know to this day what it was, but I was so sick to the point I lost 20 pounds literally in a week. And to let you know how small I was when I was 14, I was 5'4", and I weighed 120 pounds. So I didn't have any weight to lose. I was very tiny already, and but I had this problem with my stomach where I couldn't even stand up straight. My stomach hurt so bad. Well, I thought it was my stomach. And I was so nauseous all of the time. I didn't even eat, couldn't eat, nothing sounded good. So the way we are in my family is you suck it up and you deal with it for a while before you go to the doctor. So that's what I did. And then finally my parents looked at me one day and they were like, oh my God, like something is wrong with Karen. Like, we need to take her to the doctor. So they took me to the hospital, and they immediately hooked me up with an IV, and they were like, oh, she's fine. We can't find anything wrong with her or whatever. She did lose a lot of weight, but she's fine. So a couple days after that, things actually got worse, and my parents were highly alarmed. So they took me to my pediatrician, and she was like, you're going to the hospital, don't know when you're coming back, whatever. Went to Children's, and to this day, they still don't know what was wrong with me. I ended up having pancreatitis. Whatever it was I had caused pancreatitis, and so I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks. Didn't really put on weight for a while. I had to eat a very specific diet because of the pancreatitis, but they obviously wanted me to put my weight back on. But this hospital trip, not just the hospital trip, but the losing the 20 pounds, like, I kind of spiraled into like a horrible mental state after that with my body. Like, I never really thought I was fat. I never really like thought anything about my body. Like, I was just fine. But putting that weight back on was really, really hard on me mentally. And of course, trying to fight it, you end up binging, and that's what I did. And so over the course of like the next year, having put on probably more than the 20 pounds than I had already lost, was hard. And even though I was getting taller at this point, so the weight was all fine, but in my mind, it wasn't fine. I was used to being like a size 0 at this point, going back to a size 4. Ooh, and it's not like that's bad. I was just freaking out. And so with the binging, I started thinking like, well, how can I get rid of this? So I would either start running like crazy, if it on season, off season of sports, whatever. And then if I didn't feel good enough after running 5-6 miles, then maybe maybe the best thing to do would be to throw up. So that's what I did. And it didn't happen often. High school, it was kind of like just something I was like off and on thing for a couple of years. So then flash forward to my senior year, I was 17, and I was going to go to art school. That was my dream, to do something with photography. All I knew is I wanted to like impact people's lives. I want to make a difference. That's always has been my main goal, is to know that I am making a positive difference in people's lives. So My dream school was Savannah College of Art and Design, and it's ridiculously expensive, so there was like no way I was gonna be able to go there and afford that. My parents were pretty realistic with me about that, but my mom, she's cool, and she was like, well, we have family that lives in Savannah. Let's just go take a trip, and we'll make a weekend out of it, and it'll be fun. So we left, and I kind of thought it was fate, like we left. I'm from Cincinnati, so this was 2010, and it was February 5th, and we had the worst snowstorm in years, and we were on the last flight out of Cincinnati to Philly. I was like, oh God, it's meant to be. Like, we're on the last flight, we're making it. We were on one of the last flights out of Philly, because Philly was starting to get the weather. And I just thought for sure, like, wow, this is all working out. Like, this is great. And my uncle picked us up from the airport in Savannah, and we went to lunch. And they said, like, hey, do you want to go to school, or do you want to go and hang out with family, and we'll go to school tomorrow? And I immediately just wanted to get to school. I just couldn't wait to go see it again and be there and maybe see what my future could be. Like, I was so excited. But on our way to the school, we were actually hit by a semi. And our lives changed forever after that. It was not an easy thing. Kind of raining, and the semi, I guess, didn't see us or something, and he hit us. It broke my mom's neck, and she's now a quadriplegic because of the accident. And she wasn't even supposed to make it through the night, and she's still here to this day, fighting an amazing fight. And but after that, I kind of fell. Obviously, I fell into like some sort of a depression. I didn't understand what was happening, and because everything seemed to be working out for me in the best way, and so how could something so horrible happen? And people couldn't get through to me. I just kind of shut everything off. Like, my emotions, I was just so in my head, but I couldn't communicate with other people, and I just shut everything out. And so that's just the way I dealt with things for a long time. I met with a therapist here and there, and one lady really helped me, but I was only able to meet with her for a few days, which is unfortunate. But I kind of blame myself. Like, we would have never been in that situation if I didn't want to go to that school, which you can't play that. You can't do that to yourself. You can't think, what if, because you're going to drive yourself insane. So it took me a long time to not play those games. But, I mean, to see that my mom was so injured, my uncle literally, like, saved her life that day. It was the worst day of my life, probably for everybody in my family's life. And, she went to the hospital, and my uncle was able to literally walk away. I was still taken to the hospital. The fact that him and I came out with just concussions, that's huge. I mean, we easily could have all died that day. And there's many days where I sit there and I just remind myself, like, hey, life is so short. Do not take it for granted, and be happy. Like, just live life to the fullest. And that is always something I am reminding myself of. Hey, be in this moment. Be here with these people, because you don't know what's going to happen. And you need to just appreciate everything in life, because you just never know what's going to happen. So I always strive for that every day. Obviously I have my days where that doesn't happen. But anyways, back on track. And Dad lived in Atlanta for like 3 months when my mom was in therapy. So the rest of my senior year was just shit. Like, I dropped out of most of my classes. I stayed in my 2 requirement classes. Well, my 1, it was English, and then I stayed in art because I thought art might be the way for me to get through this. And then I hit a point of such anger with what had happened that I wanted to do everything that was opposite that brought me to the accident. So no more art. I was ready to drop out of class that day that this anger just like emerged. I was going through the grief, and I was very, very angry, and not really angry at the person, because I know this was a total accident, but I was just angry that this happened to my family. Like, how could this happen? So, anyways, I ended up applying. I told all the art schools I applied to. They actually all said they would delay my acceptance and that I could start in the winter to give me more time to deal with my grieving. And I just said, nope, never mind, I'm not coming. Like, I appreciate your acceptance, but I don't want to go anywhere. So I ended up going to a community college here in Cincinnati called now like Blue Ash College. It's part of University of Cincinnati. And after seeing my mom go through physical therapy, I was determined that's what I was going to do, because they, to this day, I still look at them as like miracle workers. Like, they are just amazing people and so patient. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be like that? And that's my ultimate goal all the time, is to impact people's lives in a positive way and to help them make changes. And what better way to do it? So I was determined that's what was going to happen. Well, within the first quarter, I decided I hate math and I like science, but I struggle with it. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I apply for DAP, which is the design school at UC, and it's a very well-known school. Hey, if I get in, that's it. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I got in. So this spring, I'm going to graduate with my graphic communication design degree. 6 years in the making, so finally there. But it took me 2 to 3 years at least to find some sort of acceptance with this accident. So going off of that, my first year of college, I immediately got into partying. Like, never was home. I didn't want to be home. I kind of let my grades slip. Like, I fell kind of into that just tailspin of, just trying to numb my emotions, numb my thoughts. So that's what I did with partying. And I shortly realized that that's really not who I am. And so those holidays of 2010, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a job, get myself out of trouble. It's going to be great. So that's what I did. Well, I started working at Buckle, and I actually made some of my very best friends there. So I'm very blessed that I got to make those friends, because to this day, I don't know what I would do without them. And I got to say, through the accident, I have some of the best friends in the world, because without them, I would have completely fallen apart, because I kind of ran from my family. So my friends kind of kept me in line, and until I kind of came back to my family and started opening up to them. And but anyways, with Buckle, I fell into this very materialistic state, and I love shopping, always probably will, things like that, but I fell into more than that. It was like this image that I had in my mind, and the body that I had was not that image. I needed to lose weight. So in my head, that's what I thought. So at the time, I'm 5'6", and I've always been around the same weight. I'm still about the same weight to this day. It's just been a flux of more muscle versus fat. So at the time, I had more fat, and I thought being vegetarian and being vegan was going to solve that, because I just saw all these images of people who were vegan being stick skinny. So that's what I wanted. So I became a vegan that year for Lent in 2011, that winter. And I did. I lost a lot of weight, and it wasn't because of what I was eating. It was because I wasn't eating. I fell into this horrible, horrible mind state of just hating my body. And I slowly started to lose myself, very much so. And so with eating vegan, you're obviously pretty restricted compared to other diets. And so I would just literally eat like peanut butter and bread. Like, that's all I would eat. And maybe some fruit. I didn't care about my nutrition. I didn't care what was going in my body. All I cared about was how I looked. So I started working out every day, which is, that's great. I've always liked working out. I was always in sports. But my working out consisted of like an hour and a half of cardio a day. So, and then if I went home and binged, because, you get hungry when you're not eating, and then you're putting out, 500 calories, I'd binge. Well, then I'd feel like shit, because I binged. One, because I felt like I left myself down, and then two, because I felt bloated and gross. So it's very quickly turned into this pattern of not eating, overworking myself, to binge, to then purging. And I never really wanted to be that person, but I remembered kind of doing it in high school, and I was like, you know what? I can get away with it. It's going to be fine because my end result is what I want, is to lose weight. And I did. I became very tiny. And my skin didn't look right because I wasn't getting the right vitamins in, things like that, because I didn't understand and I didn't care. Like, I just wanted to look a certain way. So I did. And thank God for, a couple of my friends. And they saw me go through this and they started to pick up on what was happening. And they were straight up with me. And because of that, I had to be straight up with myself because I had somebody keeping me accountable. So for the next year, there were times that, that spring I stopped being vegan. Like, I went back to eating whatever the heck I wanted, which was almost worse because it was okay at first. I was fine, putting some weight back on. I looked good. I felt good about myself, actually putting food in me. But then that winter, I got mono. That was 2012? I got mono. So then I lost a ton of weight again because there's that point with mono where your throat just hurts so bad you can't even really swallow, even water. So I lost a good amount of weight again. And, well, then you can't work out for a few months with mono. So with the not working out, with finals in school, me freaking out, I totally just ate whatever the heck I wanted. And I put on more weight. Then that was at my heaviest. I don't really know what that was. And it's not like that was fat by any means, but I felt very gross. I didn't wearing shorts and wearing tank tops. I always felt very about myself. And I slowly started, the weight started kind of coming back off to my normal-ish weight, which was only maybe 10 pounds lighter than that. But then in the winter of 2012, the fall of 2012 with the holidays, I decided, you know what? I am so unhealthy and I want to get it together. I want to get my life together. I'm 20 years old now at this point. What's my excuse? So one thing I started to do was start spending more time with my family. At this point, I had some kind of acceptance and not full closure with the accident, but I was no longer angry. I'd been through my grieving at this point. It'd taken me years, but I got there. And, so I started spending more time with them, started going back to church. I kind of fell out of everything with God and everything for a long time because I was mad at him. I was very mad, and I was very confused. So I just stopped going to church. I was like, you know what? I stopped praying. I stopped reading my Bible. I was like, forget this. Something horrible has happened to my family. What am I supposed to believe now? So anyways, decided to get back into all of that. And that winter, I slowly started going back to the gym with my brother after work. And I made a goal to do the flying pig in Cincinnati because it was also going to be my 21st birthday that weekend. And I thought, you know what? What better way to be healthy is to train for a half marathon with my brother. I got to eat right to be able to do that. And it'll help me slim down a little bit. Okay, yeah, sure, I still wanted that. I think that's always going to be a demon in me, fighting me, that telling me I got to be skinnier, whatever. But I knew I'd have to do it the healthy way. So I reached out to the trainer at the rec center, to help me. And, we were good friends at the time. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever. So he started introducing me to a little bit of weights. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was excited to get back into the gym. And I was running a few miles here and there. Well, then I met my now boyfriend of about 3 years, John, through him. And things changed. I kept running, and I sat down with the trainer and, talked about goals, talked about nutrition, what I need to start eating instead of going home and, smashing ice cream after working out. that's contradicting. Like, I can't, what's the point of working out? I'm going to go home and just smash some ice cream. So, I went grocery shopping, things like that. But, and then John and I really started dating, and he was a very positive source for me, because probably about a month of us dating, I was to the point where my knees hurt so bad that it hurt to walk. So I went to the doctor, explaining to them my training, explaining to them everything that's going on, like, hey, I just bought new shoes, I am running X amount of miles every couple of days or whatever to train for this half marathon. And at this point, it's like March. Hey, the race is beginning of May. Like, I got goals. Like, and usually when a doctor tells me to not do something, like, hey, you need to take a break, I'm going to be like, you know what, whatever. I'm stubborn. I'm going to get through it. It's fine. Well, they told me how severe my knee problems were, and that if I kept up what I was doing, by the time I was 40, I might not be able to go on without getting knee replacement surgery. And that was really alarming to me. So I never signed up for the race. I never ran it. I was told that day that I would never run again. Well, okay, I do run. I just can't run. I just can't train like that anymore, because it does hurt my knees. I do have bad knees. I can't. So John got me into biking. And I love biking. We bought road bikes that summer. I'm the type of person, and so is he, like, this is great. We'd be like, hey, you want to go bike ride today? Yeah, sure, we'll go get on our bike for 90 miles. Like, we'd go until we're like, oh, we're starting to get tired. Oh, shit, we have to turn around and go back. I'm like, oh, well, it'll be fun. Like, what an adventure it is. So that's the kind of person I am, is I'm just like, oh, just suck it up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And, so anyways, I remember I was still doing a lot of cardio when John and I started going to the gym together, and my whole thing was he would do free weights and do machines. So I would just tell him, like, hey, I'm going to go do cardio for the first half of your workout. Grab me when you're either going from your free weights to the machines or vice versa. And he would. And finally one day he looked at me when we went to the gym and he was like, because we're at World Gym now, which I love. It's like a bodybuilder gym, powerlifting gym, a little bit of CrossFit. Like, it's just like you go hard. And it's awesome. Like, everybody's a family. Everybody's super cool. Like, I love it. So anyways, he just came up to me and he was like, do you mind skipping the cardio today? Like, why don't you do my whole workout today? I said, okay, I'll give it a try. Never been the same since then. I am a monster now. Like, we don't really work out together anymore now, but for a year, we worked out almost every single day together, and he taught me everything. And then as, our schedules changed with my school stuff or whatever, we fell out of working out together, and then I just picked up all of this on my own. I started YouTubing, Dana Lynn Bailey, and just everybody that I follow on Instagram now. Oh my gosh, I just looked up all these bodybuilding pros. And then even if they weren't pros, it didn't matter. Like, to me, if I could see in their Instagram or even on Facebook, hey, they're doing something. That's cool. That's motivating to me. Like, that they care about their body and that they're taking care of it. Cool. I'm going to follow them because I just wanted to learn. So even nutrition people, I didn't care. I just wanted all of this information. So John taught me a lot about nutrition. I've been mostly just an intuitive eater for the last few years. I think it was the healthiest thing for me to do after my eating disorders was to rebuild this relationship with food. And so that's what I've done. I'm slowly trying to learn macros and how to count them and where to be at for my goals and things like that, because I do think it's beneficial. But I'm a little nervous about it, but I won't know till I try it really hard. So getting into that, but it has been such a huge thing for me, but lifting seriously saved my life. I suddenly felt comfortable with myself. I remember when my body started to change, my confidence just soared. I all of a sudden was proud of my body for the first time. I remember that. And yeah, okay, I had lost some weight in the process because I'd lost fat, even though I was putting on all this muscle. And I loved the way I felt. I had all this energy and my body could do all these things I've never been able to do before. And being strong, that is one of the sexiest feelings, and I love it. So, it's basically my story. Sorry, I like rambled through most of it, and it is almost 30 minutes long. So I'm really, really sorry if you stuck through it. You rock. Again, suggestions please, because it's my first video. I want to make more. I'm just a little awkward, I feel like, in front of the camera, so working on that. But go Team Fail, and go us for kicking ass every day. We're who we motivate each other. So yeah, see ya.